Welcome to the Business Badass Revolution. I'm your host, Pat Honiotes. We're here to talk about doing business from the inside out because being an entrepreneur shouldn't suck. Remember, business badasses are made, not born. Welcome to the show. Hey, Lord love a duck, we're back, and I have a special person with me today. People have been asking a lot of questions about what is this biz from the inside out stuff. I don't get it. You're asking all these personal questions, and what's that got to do with my business? And what do you mean inside out? Now, I could sit here and talk to you and explain all that, but I would find it boring. I probably would get nervous about it, and I'd probably miss 50 things. Having done a lot of this work myself, one of the things I know is that I do much better if I'm responding rather than just coming off the top of my head. So what I did was I asked a very, very good friend of mine, Jessica, hello Jessica, to come and do the interview with me about the program. You've probably seen the very first session where my actual coach came and interviewed me about me so you'd know who you were listening to and why. And our goal today is to have as many questions answered about what is this biz from the inside out stuff as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the mic over to you, Jessica, and you're in charge until the end when I'll say goodbye to everybody.
Yay. Okay.
Jessica, well, thank you. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. So let's just start the first question with the first question.
Okay.
What is business from the inside out?
It is a different process. It's a different technique to business coaching. And it's in addition to traditional stuff. So a traditional business coach is going to do strategies and marketing and all of that kind of thing. Very important. What I've discovered, though, is a lot of times people don't do it or do what their coaches are telling them because of stuff they have going on personally. That's why I'm inside out. So what I do is I work with people to understand how they're wired, how they think about things, what their habits are, what their patterns are. When you understand those and get those in line, it automatically applies to your business. And so I take it a couple steps back than a traditional business coach.
Oh, wow. So just to give an example, a traditional business coach is probably going to tell you, you need to make a certain number of contacts, right? Or a certain number of cold calls or get a certain number of leads or something like that. And so what you're saying is when people don't do that, there's a reason other than just
being stubborn, yes.
Being stubborn or being too busy, right?
Exactly. Oh, yeah. There's no such thing as that, by the way. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've heard you talk a little bit about this before about, using things to put off other things that are more important, right?
Yes.
So is that kind of what you're looking to get to the bottom of?
Yes. I want to know, how do I say this? We kind of went through this at one time on another interview where I'm not the coach for everyone, just bottom line. So because I dig and I push. Okay, and the idea for me is to have practical applications for the things that we're teaching you. So if you're procrastinating, your traditional business coach could give a rat's behind that you're procrastinating. He just wants you to stop it. Okay? So it's about a person procrastinates for a reason. They may not even know what it is. When I can give them that reason and show them where it's coming from, they then have a choice to do something about it. So they couldn't really do anything about the procrastination before because it didn't. I just procrastinate. What's the big deal, right? Well, it is a big deal. They go, oh, I'm procrastinating. Now they're in choice. I can continue to procrastinate or I can make a different choice. Awareness always gives you choice. So until then, though, it didn't make any more sense to them than it did another coach.
Oh, wow.
Is that out?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think that makes sense. And I think it's important for your listeners to understand, because I'm sure they're going, okay, well, you go a little deeper, but why can't my regular business coach do that? And I would say maybe because you have some experience and some knowledge. So Maybe you could share a little bit about that
Yeah,
a
there's
traditional business
that,
coach shouldn't have.
but they also don't care about that. That's not their way of thinking. Now, I'm really globalizing there, and so that can't necessarily be every coach. But I've talked to some, and they go, "No, I don't care." Because my goal, they're hiring me to increase sales. Well, they're hiring me to increase sales too, but that's all they're looking at and how to get there. Okay. Now, ask me the question again, because in making that point, I forgot what you asked me.
So you have some different credentials, some different backgrounds, some
Yes.
different experience
Yes.
that has taught you to take this to a different level. So can you tell us just a little bit
I
about
can.
that?
I started teaching when I was 12, and that makes a difference because I run into all sorts of people, right? Um, I've also got a background in, my degrees in education, I have master's degrees in counseling psych, and I'm also board certified medical hypnoanalyst. And what I've done is pulled these things together, okay, so that people can understand why they do what they do. Understanding how the subconscious mind works makes it a friend, not your enemy. You see, we have things running in our subconscious mind that we're not consciously aware of. I have the skill and the ability to have you become aware of that so then you can do something about it. Okay. So I'm not sitting there hypnotizing you, look deep into my eyes, you're a fish and fish don't smoke. Okay, it's not about that. It's about using the techniques to have you feel comfortable and safe to go back and look at some things, not from a real, mental health place, but from a knowledge place. So then you can use it in your favor instead of against you. We all have beliefs about ourselves that on a subconscious level is running in our mind. Okay? Mine was, I'm an unworthy piece of shit. Okay? Now when you do that for years and years, you don't remember it consciously, right? But it's playing there all the time. If we can go back and find out what that is, even though intellectually I know I'm not, that I'm intelligent, it wasn't worthless piece of shit, it was stupid worthless, okay? I know I'm intelligent, but I was fighting that. Once I knew what the bottom line belief was, I had a choice and I could make some different decisions.
And choice is so powerful. So at this point in your career, in your purpose, why do you choose to work with business people? Because right now you're just working with people in business, right?
Mostly,
Mostly?
99%.
So
right.
what makes you so passionate about that?
Because business people, especially small business owners, entrepreneurs, have been misled. And there's was and has been this big thing out there. You never, ever bring anything personal into your business. And I'm saying, horse pucky, it's there anyway. Bring it in and use it to your advantage. But I can remember when I first started 40 years ago, that was preached to me. No, never bring anything personal in. The point is it's already there. So let's use it. You're right. I'm passionate about it because I like people to have power and agency. Okay. And if there's things that you're being misled by, that doesn't work for me. Just kind of bottom line.
Wow. Awesome. So we talked a little bit before and we had talked about this and I wanted to bring it up again,
Okay.
Obviously for everybody to hear it, but, in the past, there's been this whole, and this is for the women, not the guys dip out for 5 seconds, but, this boss babe culture,
Oh, geez.
right, made super popular by, and I'm not throwing any shade. I'm here for the MLMs. Was at Mary Kay this week, but made popular by women getting involved in MLMs and things like that, and boss babe this and boss babe that, and it was all about kind of getting to that next level and control and all these different things. How is this different from that and from hustle culture? The whole idea that the harder you hustle, you got to work 80 hours a week. If you're not working 80 hours a week, what are you doing with your life?
Enjoying it.
How, when you're teaching people and walking people through the stuff that maybe have been part of boss babe and hustle culture, what does that look like?
It's interesting because I had never heard boss babe or hustle culture until you talked to me the other day. It just isn't part of my thing. But when you explain what it is, I will tell you that All this hustle stuff, 80 hours a week, all you're doing is trying to prove something. 95% of the time when I'm working with someone that's all about the 80-hour work week, they're trying to prove something, and it differs from person to person. Not only that, you're working 80 hours a week, you're using tons of energy that are getting you nowhere. Believe it or not, you're presenting desperation to the people in front of you, clients, coworkers, and they may not call it that. See, there's so much subtle stuff, okay? But I'll tell you, working 80 hours a week doesn't work because you're not on top of your game. What was the other one? I'm not sure about that one. Hustle.
The boss babe and hustle culture, very similar. Very similar.
Yeah, because I'm not real sure what that means, but
The boss babe is kind of girl power, and again, it's not a bad thing, but it seems recently to have kind of gotten a bad rap, and people are wanting to get away from that.
see, that's never really been part of my environment. I'm all about empowerment for everybody. It never occurred, but I've also never been in big corporations and that to where there's the glass ceiling and women are I've never been in that. And so to me everybody just is the same. Let's empower you and let's see where you can go with it. And as I'm thinking about that, that's what you saw me go to there for a second was, yeah, I was in the school system for years, okay, in the early 70s. I was in a hospital system for part of that time. And maybe part of it was because I was female, but I couldn't do anything in those systems unless I was associated with a male member of the faculty or the staff. I could only, and I just now got that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So thank you for asking that. It never occurred to me because I thought it was just because I didn't have this degree or that degree. It could have been part of the female thing too. But as far as I'm concerned, male, female, or in between, whatever, own your power, stand in it, use it, and there you go. Unapologetically use it.
Oh, I bet that's something that gets struggled with. Is unapologetically using.
Yeah,
your
we
power.
apologize all the time. You want to do an experiment just for fun? Every time you say "I'm sorry" during the day, make a check mark on your paper. You will be surprised. Maybe not you, but you all. Okay, is keep it and every time you say "I'm sorry" or "sorry," make a check mark. You're apologizing for being you. I really have to look. I really have to work at that at times because I'll get stuck in that. I'm sorry, but no. This is it. I'm gonna. You get it.
So I've heard there's been some talk in some different groups recently that I've heard about finding your people. Those are my people. Those are not my people. Your tribe and things like that. So what you do as far as this kind of self-discovery and bringing it over into business, what does that do for somebody personally and business-wise?
Okay. You have to know yourself. And we just think we do. Okay? There's things about ourselves that we don't know. I discovered a humdinger last week. All right? So it's a matter of, because it's all energy. So I'm going to mix a couple of things here. When you discover, and we do this through what I call a leadership PhD, when you discovered exactly how you're wired, how you got wired that way, what is keeping that wiring and those habits in place, okay, then you know who you are and why you're there. That's one energy, okay? Along with that, you discover the gifts that you got from that too, as well as some of the things that have held you back. That's energy. So when you're really incorporating this and embracing it, you're taking a new energy out into the world. All right? And that's sometimes when people can start apologizing. Well, I've just been through. No, this is who I am, and I'm taking it into the world. And that gets exacerbated when you're doing this kind of work.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And so when you, as that translates to business, once you know who you are and you take that energy out into the world, then that
attracts your ideal clients because your ideal clients are attracted to you energetically. So your non-ideal clients, they just won't do it. Okay. Prior to that, it's like I can help anybody that's human. Somebody will say, we had this wonderful lady the other day that was a Mary Kay consultant. Don't talk about dynamite. She's very clear that she can't work on every face because there's this exchange of energy. There are people that she wouldn't want to work on their face, but they wouldn't want her to. So one of the biggest things is understanding that you're not for everyone. And then what you do is you market to your ideal client, and they'll match you energetically. That's what we learn on the life, by the way, too, is what's the energy you're putting out there. So instead of just throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something sticks, we narrow your ideal clients down. I call it 1 square inch a mile deep.
Wow.
Okay, so that you're going right in your thing. Now, that doesn't mean, a lot of my clients are women right now, but it doesn't mean I don't work with men. I also have several men clients. But if I'm going to market, I'm sure the Mary Kay lady markets to women. Right?
I'm sure.
And I'm also sure she has some male clients because her products, they have them for that.
Right.
That's not her main market. So that's how it applies. Okay, you're energetically calling in ideal clients.
I think that makes so much sense. And I think that kind of flips back just a little bit to hustle culture, is trying to be everything to everybody all
Lord
the
love a duck,
time
yeah.
to make the sale.
Yeah.
And that's where that working all those hours and all that energy and that's exhausting. And I think that leads to burnout.
It does. I had a client that was trying to be a coach, a money coach, that was trying to help it. She could be everything to everybody. Oh, you need this? Fine, I'll do that. You need this? Fine, I'll do that. Doesn't work because you can't be. And you're right, it's out. And that's where the being who you are and treating or coaching who you coach or working with who you work with unapologetically. I've actually had some people be irritated because I said no to the program. I said no to one gal 2 times. The third time I let her in because she had grown. I said, you're not ready. Second time, you're not ready. And then she came in and I said, okay, now you're ready.
So that's a perfect lead into who is your program for? Like who do you fit? Is it seasoned people in business? Is it people that are just maybe starting out in business? Who fits?
I'm going to say yes. And that's not that tells you nothing, right? Except that it's more about who they are and what they're open to. So my perfect client is someone who's open, who's willing to look at things differently, because I'm not really on the straight track, right? Someone who has enough confidence to at least begin the process, and that confidence will go, because it's not necessarily a walk in the park. Okay, if you're really working the program, there's going to be some uncomfortable moments. So it's about being open. Now, having said that, a new person going into business can benefit by it, and a seasoned person can benefit by it. With the seasoned person, it's more about they've come to a place where they're stuck. They're either plateauing financially or in other ways, and they've tried everything else. I love people who have tried everything else because they're usually more open to hearing some things that they haven't heard about before. A person who's fairly new in business will gain from the aspect is they won't make as many mistakes as they could have because they're already learning about themselves and who their people are and how to work with them.
Oh, wow. So they can avoid that road to burnout completely.
Well, I don't know.
Not completely.
Yeah.
But they can avoid possibly that.
There's
they can take a detour around it.
There's some things that you can do that makes it easier. How about that?
Yes, I think that's a good explanation. So, what, with that being said, what can somebody expect if I were to join your program? You mentioned Life PhD, and we've kind of talked about some of the benefits, really. But what can I expect it to look like? Is it, is there a lot of homework? Is this going to be a big time thing? What can I expect?
So initially, we meet for an hour a week, because you're changing habit patterns, you're doing some things differently. And so initially you need that consistently. Yes, there's homework, but most of the homework, the only thing that is really out of the ordinary homework is write your affirmations every day and send them to me. It is less than 3 minutes of your time. People freaking hate it. That's probably one of the hardest things to get through. We'll do another whole thing on affirmations, but that's really the only have to or really ideal thing to do every week. Other than that, it's individual things. But the individual things, Jessica, are things I've asked you to do that are practical applications to what we've learned. Okay, so if someone is working on a visibility issue, I say, okay, in the next week, I want you to go to at least 2 networking meetings. And for some people, that's really hard. Okay, and if you can't get any farther than the door and just sneak in and sit down and listen, that's fine. At least you've made the first step. So the homework is very individual as to what's holding you back, which makes it, in many ways, not all that easy, because that's really a chore for some folks.
Oh wow. I guess it would be. That sounds so foreign to me, but that's one of those things that everybody is so unique, and has such unique perspectives and unique history that.
But still, at the same time, if you're going to promote your business, that's a have to.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a story. I've worked with my coach for 11 years now, and the first time I talked to him, I told him, I said, "Yep, drove clear across Phoenix into Scottsdale, got to the meeting room, went up to the door, put my hand on the door, and turned around and went back to my car." Just could not do it. Could not do it. So obviously they didn't hear about me or my program that week. So how do you think that affects my bottom line? Now, not everybody is that seriously, but it can get to that extent. I was so panicked I couldn't open the door.
But so for somebody that's experiencing that in whether it's visibility or some area, I mean, just you sitting here is such a testament to that. Not only are you talking to me, you're talking to me on camera, you're talking to other people, but this is going to be broadcast everywhere, all over every form of media possible.
Right.
Lots of people are going to see it. So that's
So
something that you've done a lot of work on.
Well, also, there's lots of people know then that I've got their back because I've been through it.
Oh.
Okay, that's what I do with I don't care whether it's visibility or something. I got your back, which means they have my phone number. Okay, they know to text me, they know to call. It does not mean that I'm going to answer the phone at 2 a.m. because I'm not. All right, they're very aware of like 9 to 5 of the business hours. So, but they still have that access, and I tune in on my people. I know what I've assigned that week. And the other night I had someone call at 9 o'clock, and I just checked with dude and answered the phone. Now that's rare. Okay, but they know for sure that I've got their back. That's what it took for me to, by the way, 2 months later I was presenting to that group.
Wow.
And that was because of the work that my coach did with me, just saying, and if you need to, you call me, or whatever it is. So it's about that too.
I think one of the most powerful statements you made, you actually made it on another podcast, where a lady said, because you said something about going deep, and she said, "But what if there's sharks in the water?"
What did I say? I don't even remember.
I don't even remember either, but your response was just so reassuring. It was so confident and firm and direct, and that's okay. I've got you. I'm there with you. Yeah. It was something along those lines.
Yeah,
and
sharks
I think that's
don't bother
important.
me.
There you go. There you go.
See, it's easier with somebody. It's really easy with clients, but I also work on myself. And here's another note is I work with a coach. Okay. And I think that I tell my people, don't ever hire a coach that's working with a coach, because they need the backing too. Otherwise we think we got it all together, and we don't.
Ooh, always growing, always learning. That's powerful. I keep checking my notes.
I see it.
Because I don't want to miss anything either. Some of my notes are funny.
Well, here's the thing. You asked them what to expect. So there is some homework, yes. Here's the other thing is you will be working on your business, which means if it's not necessarily homework, but you're going to be working at it the whole week. Because what we do is we take what you've learned and make it practical to start applying. So, yeah, that's where the intensity comes in.
So it's great that you just said that, because the note that I just looked at was, it sounds like it's traditional therapy, or it sounds like traditional therapy focuses only on self. Traditional business coaches just want to separate personal from productivity. But what you do is, even though you're dealing with personal, you're actively applying it weekly in the homework to a business.
Yeah. Otherwise, why? You know, that's this thing about, never bring anything personal. Now, I'm not telling you to go in front of a client and start crying because you had a fight with your husband. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying recognize it and then do your work right. Okay. But it's already there. So friend that. Make a friend of your personal and then use it to your advantage.
That's powerful.
But very different than coming in and, complaining about your neighbor or your kid or your whatever. That's the personal stuff you leave out.
Yeah, absolutely. That's powerful, because I think that speaks to, if somebody's questioning, is this program for me or not? What's it going to be like? What can I expect? What business people don't want is to spend money on something that doesn't increase their bottom line, or if they're questioning what that's going to look like. And I think the way you just covered now, this idea that, we're doing personal work, but the application of it is directly how it affects our business, and homework that moves the needle. We use that phrase a lot, is what moves the needle.
One thing I will say is that results of writing affirmations every day, you may not see a result this week or next month, because it's a cumulative thing, and what you're really doing is retraining your mind. And so your results may not always be as immediate as, say, with a business coach who says, okay, you're going to get 5 sales this week. I'm not going to tell you that, because I know work that may not kick in for you right away, which is why I do it over a period of time.
But with you're going to make 5 sales this week, you're dealing with the thing that's stopping the person from doing the activity that does lead to the 5 sales.
Yep.
Wow, that just sums it all up, doesn't it?
You got it. Yeah. Can I hire you?
I mean, so what would you say? Just a couple of notes, and I know these came from past conversations that we had, but what would you say to somebody who is listening to this and they're going, okay, yeah, but I just need to work harder?
How's that working for you? You've been working harder. How's that working for you?
Ooh. You'd toss that back as a question. Probably one that's hard to answer.
Well, no, they'll probably say, well, it's not. Okay. So,
I meant hard emotionally to answer.
Oh, yeah.
Hard to admit.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure. But that is the answer. If it were working right, you wouldn't be talking to me.
They wouldn't be listening.
That's also why I said earlier, I love the people that have tried stuff and it's not working. And they're like, I don't know why I'm here. This doesn't remember. It's not going to work anyway. This kind of did say, okay, let's see. Let's try a couple things.
So I have another note here. It says, unlock all kinds of crap.
Okay.
And I'm not sure where that came from, but I'm
not either. Go ahead.
I feel like it probably came from light bulb moments. As you're going through this, do you have people that like they just unlocked something in a video game? They just unlocked a superpower or something.
And that is so fun. And it can be in the middle of something that, I also help people build programs. I wrote programs for years and a book and all of that. So it's easy for me to start pulling that stuff together. And I'll make a suggestion or something. I go, oh my God, now I know why my English teacher told me that. Or it can be anything like that. Well, no wonder my dad thought I was stupid. And not that in and of itself is going to change your life, although it could. It gives you insight to what to do next, or insight into why you are the way you are, and you can give yourself some grace to work with it. Oh yeah, I love the ahas. When you see the light go on, oh honey, that's my day. I love it. I love it.
I bet that would be fun.
It is.
I bet that would be fun for you.
See, the whole thing is fun. I think this program is a lot of fun. I'm not sure how many clients would necessarily use the word fun. We have a lot of fun learning.
I can see that. Well, and some of the fun comes from, once they get down the road a little bit and they've been doing the things and they've been doing the homework, and it's one of those things that the ROI is hard to measure.
Although eventually we can.
Eventually can, but some of it, the visualization I get is, the ripples of water on the pond.
Yes.
You throw a rock in
Yes.
the pond and it ripples out, and
Yes.
and it's hard to track where that goes and how it affects other things and the chain reaction. But as you talk about some of this stuff, that's kind of the vision
Yeah, that's
that I
exactly
get
what it
is,
is. Yeah.
you're on the other side of the conversation going, I'm just going to throw this one over here. I'm just going to throw this one over here. And then I'm going to sit back and I'm going to
just
watch how your life changes.
Yeah. And there's been times when a client will come to one of our sessions or our calls and say, I don't know why I'm here today. Everything's going fine. This is a waste of time. I don't know why I'm here today. I go, time out, stop. One of the big things they forget to do is celebrate. And one of the call where we can celebrate wins most of the time and progress is just as important as any call they've had where they're dealing with an issue. And I don't know how much other people bring that into it, but that is so critical. That releases all sorts of stuff in your body and your brain, which encourages you to do it again.
I feel like I've heard you say that before. I talk a little bit about celebrating wins and,
when people think they're celebrating, they have to go out to dinner, they have to have a big party, they have to go, no, put up your own celebration. I go, and that's enough it releases I think it's endorphins, all right? That, yeah, I'm going to do that again. That's kind of fun. And I encourage people to make up their own celebration in the moment.
That's powerful. Because sometimes we get really caught up in the gap between where we are and all the things that we want to do and should do and can do and goals and all that kind of stuff. And we forget about the gap of the gain from where we were to where we are.
Exactly. Little kids celebrate all the time. Be a little kid, be 6 and celebrate. Mommy, did you see I did that? And you going, yay. Okay, do that for yourself. Yay. I even did that when I had I was in an office and something, I'd get off and I'd go, yes, like this. And then I would have me, I'd go, you had to be there. What do you want from me, right? But celebrate.
So obviously we're here at I think you've got clients that are locally, local to where we are. But you don't just work with people local, right? You can work with anybody anywhere.
I've worked with people in the UK. I've worked with people in Canada, Australia, all over the United States. Zoom is wonderful. And people say, is that as good as in person? Yes. Now, I have a couple of people locally that I do work with live, only because it's working best for them. And we have a choice. Okay, but Zoom is just as powerful as, I still get the energy. They still get the energy.
That's awesome.
Is.
That's pretty impressive that the energy carries over Zoom.
Well, if you're standing in your stuff unapologetically, that just goes out. Come on. Yeah?
Yeah. I say things like that because I know you're going to have the answer and it's going to be a really good, and genuine, not to sound like, you just have an answer for everything in a negative way.
Oh God, no.
Not like that, but just that you have the experience, you have the knowledge, you're passionate about people, you're passionate about what you do, and that gives you just stand on business.
And see, that's the thing. This program is so good. It just is, and it's not all stuff that I made up. Okay, one of the things I've adapted that first session of the Life PhD, I learned that from my coach years ago. Okay, and then I have adapted it with things. So it's the material and the things that I've learned that have that zip and that energy too.
This just popped into my head. If somebody was listening to this and they were thinking, oh, I'm too old, or I've been in business too long, or it's too late. If they had this, it's too late for me kind of, or, it's too late for my business, or I've been doing, anything like that. What would you say to them?
I've been in business for over 45 years doing this. I just turned 78, and go for it. If you want it, you can have it. And you can use that as an excuse if you want to. That's fine. But if you really want it, don't buy your own BS. Oh, I use the word don't. Stop BSing yourself. Okay?
Stop BSing
and
yourself.
going and go for it. What do you got to lose? Like I said, I'm 78. What is anybody going to do to me?
So it's not too late.
Never.
Never too late.
Never.
I feel like we've covered
Millions of things.
a lot of ground. What just pops into your head
Uh-oh.
that you would want somebody to know that is listening to this and is, first, let's go with somebody who's listening to this and going, but will it work for me?
I can't make a promise about that. I've asked people before, will you guarantee this? And I go, yes. If you'll guarantee me that you do everything I tell you to do when I tell you to do it and how I tell you to do it. So what I'm going to say is, when you're working the program, you will get some great results out of it.
So you got to put something in it.
Oh, yeah.
You can't just listen.
No, a little skin in the game.
Little skin in the game. Okay. And just for somebody that's listening to this and it's just curious and, maybe they've been sitting on the edge of their seat and just waiting. What
I will tell you is I always do a half-hour discovery call with people before I even talk about the program. And unfortunately, that word has been misused and so many people use it as a sales call. It's not a sales call for me. I want to discover what it is you want to do, what your time, I want to learn about you, and then we'll talk and see if you're a fit for the program or if I'm a fit for you.
Because you're okay with telling somebody, you've already said you're okay with telling somebody they're not ready or that it's not a fit, right?
Yeah. And that's never anything personal. I just don't want to make a sale, or I've even, like, a couple of times someone's been into the program and I go, this just isn't working. Okay. And I don't want to keep charging you when I know that one lady was brilliant. I just loved her because she said to me, because I said to her, I said, this doesn't seem to be working. She said, I understand. She said, I know. She says, the way you coach is not the way I'm wired. It was the most accurate, beautiful statement I think I've ever heard on that topic. And we are good friends to this day. I see her all the time.
Wow.
And it's just a fact of life.
Yeah.
But it's never anything personal.
You're looking for your people just as much as
they are.
Other business owners are looking for their people.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think, I think we covered everything that we could possibly cover.
I think you're right.
So
what I'm going to say is thank you so much. I appreciate this because you made it easier for me. And that's the other thing is making things easier for yourself. Okay? You have to put yourself there and make things easy for yourself, even if other people think it's a cop-out or you shouldn't do things that way. I just say horsepucky. Do what works for you and for what you're attempting to do. I will also say, come back. We're going to do this again down the road once we've had a little bit more time to talk, once we have some more nuances that we can talk about. So, business, badassery, revolution.
Ooh.
Business from the inside out. We'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to another episode of Business Badass Revolution. Remember, as you're walking through your work week, being an entrepreneur shouldn't suck. Remember to like, share, follow, and subscribe. And oh, by the way, leave us a 5-star review. See you next time.